Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call a meeting to order. My name is Peter Emo. I'm the Reeve. Part of our procedural bylaw places me in the chair when the mayor is unable to attend, and he's taken some time off. With that, I'd ask the clerk to conduct roll call, please.
Reeve Emo.
Present.
Councillor Legree.
Present.
Councillor McWhorter.
Present.
Councillor McDonald.
Present.
Councillor Cebulski.
Present.
Councillor Andrew Dick.
Present.
Reeve Emo, we do have quorum.
Thank you. Thank you, Council. As we gather, we would like to acknowledge on behalf of Council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Is there anybody with a pecuniary interest? Okay, seeing none. We'll move to Director Bishop and her presentation, please.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Structured Town Hall. My name is Andrea Bishop. I'm the Director of Infrastructure, Public Works and Engineering, and tonight we're going to be talking about roads prioritization and sidewalks. So the outline of the presentation, we're going to go through the purpose of tonight and the session, the overview of the town's responsibilities, and our capital outlook. So the purpose, next slide please, sorry. The purpose of this presentation is to provide an opportunity for the public to understand operations and maintenance within the town, our asset management and budget considerations in the town of Renfrew, and to inform residents on how road reconstruction projects and resurfacing projects are prioritized, as well as gather feedback from local residents on any priorities. So the town of Renfrew has approximately 68 kilometers of roads and 47 kilometers of sidewalks. Of the 68 kilometers of roads, approximately 11 kilometers are arterial roads, 13 kilometers are collector roads, and 44 kilometers are local roads. So arterial roads can be defined as major roads in our town designed for a large volume of traffic between two areas, such as O'Brien Road. Collector roads collect traffic from local streets and move traffic to arterials, like Harry Street or Hall Avenue. And local roads are designed primarily for accessing properties. Roads are assessed using a pavement condition index, which can range from 0 to 100, roughly based on the chart to the right, where 0 is a failed road and 100 is brand new construction and excellent condition. The average PCI of the roads in Renfrew is 59. Sidewalks have had no formal assessment, but a sidewalk condition index is proposed for 2026. So this map here actually shows our condition indexes of our town streets. Purple is a recently constructed road or an excellent condition. Green is in good condition, yellow is in fair or good condition, orange is fair, blue is fair or poor, and red is poor. And I understand that this is kind of hard to read. Our map is also posted in the hallway for those of us who are here, and hopefully you can go take a look. Most of our arterials and major downtown streets have been reconstructed in the past few years, so a lot of those in the core are purple, as well as O'Brien Road that was recently completed. This condition analysis was done by former staff members and updated based on any projects that have been completed in the past several years. So those purple streets that we know that were constructed, some of the other ones may be outdated, but we are looking into updating this through a formal program next year in our 2026 budget. Next, please. So this map, also hard to see, but it is our sidewalks within the town of Renfrew. So some streets have 2 sidewalks, some have 1, and quite a few actually have no sidewalks at all. We will look at another map later on that shows some of the multi-use paths. I think I forgot to mention there are 6.4 kilometers of multi-use paths in our town at this point. So for operations and maintenance, our public works staff work on operations and maintenance of the roads and sidewalks in our town. So annual maintenance activities on the roads include patching, crack sealing, street sweeping, maintaining signage, snow plowing, and snow removal. Maintenance on sidewalks includes grinding, patching, minor replacements, sidewalk sweeping, and trimming and weed control. Next. Some challenges we encounter in operations and maintenance are staffing and equipment, weather, and aging concrete and asphalt on sidewalks and roads. So minimum maintenance standards are a provincial regulation established under the Municipal Act. They set the minimum levels of maintenance that municipalities must perform on roads and sidewalks to keep them safe and serviceable to the public. MMS has been adopted by our council to guide how the town maintains roads and sidewalks, and following MMS ensures that maintenance is consistent and reasonable. So as an example, MMS sets timelines for repairing potholes based on the road's class and the size and depth of that defect. So for a Class 5 road, which is defined as a local road, the repair must be done within 30 days after becoming aware of said pothole or defect. This changes based on the class of the road, so it becomes more important if we are in a Class 2 situation or Class 1 in any of those major arterials, because they are more highly traveled and at a higher speed. For winter control, roads are plowed based on 4 plow routes that are shown in the next slide. Throughout the winter, weather is monitored 3 times per day, and roads are patrolled once per day. If there's a weather event, this becomes more frequent, and staff determine maintenance levels based on weather conditions. So as mentioned on the previous slide, there are MMS standards, and there are standards for winter as well. So for example, snow accumulation on roads is one of the standards. So MMS sets allowable snow depths before plowing must begin. For a Class 2 road, minor arterial road like O'Brien, it must be plowed once snow accumulation reaches 5 centimeters and cleared to bare pavement within 6 hours after the snowfall ends. For a Class 5 road, which is a local road, plowing begins at 8 centimeters and must be completed within 16 hours after the snowfall ends. This allows our higher priority roads to be cleared first, ensuring safe travel routes for emergency and high traffic areas. In the case of a major winter storm, which we've encountered a few times over the past few winters, a significant weather event can be declared, which means the standard timelines for MMS are temporarily suspended. Once the event ends, the regular timelines resume. This provides our staff the flexibility when conditions make it unsafe or impossible for the standard timelines to be met. When plow operators are working over their regular shift and working throughout the night, they need time to sleep. So we need to declare that event so that we can meet those standards. So our next slide is also shown in the hallway over by the doors. It shows that our town has 4 plow routes. So there's bluish purple, red, pink, and yellow. So those are 4 different routes for different drivers, showing that they do complete quite a bit on each route. Next, please. And for our winter control for sidewalks, snow plowing is completed by 3 plow routes, which is on the next slide as well. Snow removal takes priority in the downtown area, near schools, and near the hospital. Based on MMS, snow and ice must be cleared or treated within 48 hours after a storm. So our next slide shows our sidewalk snow plowing routes. So we have a blue, an orange, and a red, and the red is actually multi-use path route. So that's plowed slightly differently, but those are plowed as well throughout the winter. Some areas you may notice may not get plowed, while one sidewalk on the street out of 2 gets plowed, and some roads have no sidewalk plowing at all. So next is our snow picking. So this is otherwise known as snowbank removal. It occurs in busy or high traveled areas of town. The 3 areas above represent the 3-night picking schedule, with, I believe, red or orange being first, blue being second, and yellow being third. These are based on priority areas. So next I'll talk about our road priorities and our capital outlook. So major collectors were recommended in the asset management plan. And 4 major collectors we have proposed are Hall Avenue, Harry Street, Monroe Avenue East, and Opeongo Road. Minor rehabilitations and maintenance programs are also a priority in order to extend the life of those local roads or roads that have been done fairly recently. So there's more focus on these to prolong the lifespan of the newly constructed roads as well, utilizing cost-effective treatments before the road degrades to a point of requiring costly reconstruction. Staff is planning projects to apply the right treatment at the right time to maximize the road's useful life while minimizing investment. Surface treatment in this case can include shave and pave jobs, surface treatments like microsurfacing and crack sealing. These can extend pavement life by 5 to 10 years. So our next slide shows also, sorry, my apologies, hard to see. It also was posted in the hallway. It shows our identified future projects, including those 4 major collectors that I noted earlier. I encourage you to take a look later. So the methodology for determining road prioritization is not just based on the condition. Staff evaluate the maintenance needs and the costs for maintenance, traffic volume and use, safety, underground infrastructure, and time of need. So does it need the treatment right now, or could it have that shave and pave treatment in 2 years? Will it be taking the same treatment no matter how long we wait? And to consider if the road is rapidly deteriorating. We are using the data we have to make the most informed decisions and also consider the recommendations from our recent supporting documents, including the asset management plan, the master transportation plan, and the ongoing master servicing plan. So some of these have different recommendations, shorter term and longer term, so we have to keep that in mind as we're trying to prioritize what roads are upcoming. So the next slide, this chart is an example of how road reconstruction or rehabilitation can work. So the PCI is the pavement condition index that is noted on the left side of the graph, and the years are along the bottom. So over time, all roads will naturally deteriorate. This graph shows 3 options. The blue is do nothing, the red is best practices, and the green represents worst first. So blue means that if there's no intervention, roads will steadily decline until full reconstruction is needed. Red means regular maintenance and timely rehabilitation, and green means that the funding is focused on fixing the worst roads first. The blue approach leads to rapid and irreversible condition. The green approach shows short-term improvement, but is not sustainable as the road just goes from fair to poor. The red approach means a higher overall PCI for less cost, and it addresses the issues before major failure. Therefore, smaller jobs more often are more cost-effective and maximize the useful life of the asset, and treating roads before it's too late can greatly prolong the life. So for sidewalks, there are many criteria to consider for our prioritization, including safety, accessibility, connectivity to schools, cost, condition, and integration with other road projects. So if any project is happening close by to a school, or if we're missing a connection throughout the town where a new road is being developed, then we can consider adding a sidewalk there as well. So the next slide shows that same capital outlook map with a few additional minor rehabilitation and maintenance programs. So some proposed surface treatments and shave and pave projects, pending council approval. And that to be said, currently these are our priorities, but in future terms of council, this may change. So just to touch on asset management to wrap it up, it was discussed earlier that our PCI average in town is 59. But to note, a PCI of our arterial roads is 85, collectors is 65, and local is 50. So as noted in our asset management plan, Renfrew's arterial roads have an estimated remaining life of 21 years. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of them have been reconstructed recently and are in really good shape. So for the next decade, Renfrew can focus on collector roads, and to save on mobilization costs, connected local roads could be included wherever sensible. So should the collector roads be focused on, there's a risk that the local roads will further deteriorate, of course. The life cycle costs are based on a road lifespan of 30 years and sidewalk of 50 years. The required annual funding for both can be decreased if the life cycle is increased. So as I mentioned earlier, with those surface treatments or shave and pave, those lifespans could be increased. We've included a program called Street Scan in our draft 2026 mayor's budget, which would provide staff with the data required to make more informed decisions as PCIs and SCIs, which is our sidewalk condition index, would be determined. So our strategy for the next 10 years is to follow that asset management plan, update with PCI data where we can, and edit those priorities and monitor. So we don't have a 10-year forecast as of now, but we are working on that. And one more thing to note, the strategic plan for the Renfrew, Town of Renfrew Road to 2035 includes action items for roads and sidewalks, including increasing the number of lane kilometers rehabilitated and continuing to invest in active transportation through appropriate expansions of the town's sidewalks and multi-use paths. So that's all I have for you today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So this is an opportunity for you in the audience to ask a question. So what we'd like is if you could come to the microphone, just state your name and your general address, not that you're at 123 Smith Street or anything. We don't want somebody breaking into your house while you're sitting here. So just let us know kind of where you're from, but in Renfrew, and we'll try and answer your questions. And after the public is complete, then we'll turn to council. Okay, so we'll get, okay, Mike? Just, is the green button on? Green light, sorry, if you push the middle, is the green light on? There you go.
Mike Edmansky, Renfrew Avenue West. I have two questions. I'll start with the sidewalk, mainly our Main Street. You talk about safety. Is orange paint a safety development? Because we walk these streets a lot, and all I ever see is that we have orange paint on the street that has raised up somewhat.
Andrea, please.
Yep, so I can address that. So in the case that our sidewalks don't meet the safety standards and accessibility standards, we spray paint them orange so that the public is aware that there's a hazard. It can be noted as a trip hazard. It's meant to be seen until it can get fixed. So if we don't have the funding to replace the sidewalks right now, or we don't have the staffing resources to actually go and do that work, that's basically our notification to the public that that is a tripping hazard, and it's ongoing. It's our priority to have that fixed as soon as possible, but in the case that we don't have budget for it, we can't replace that right away.
So this is not just a recent development. This has been a few years, and I know of people that fell, including my wife, in an area that wasn't marked. And I'll leave that at that. But my next issue is the boulevard in the town. That was developed by a company, must be 6 or 7 years ago now, at least, because we walked that boulevard daily for years. That bump that's in town on the way in, I'm sure anybody that drives in must notice it there. So now our reasoning for fixing that is putting 2 bump signs up. Earlier this year, they arrived there. Now, I drive that boulevard a few times a day, and typically, all that I've seen done there is a bit of pavement so that it looks like you're going to not be hitting a larger bump. So I look around and I see Greenwood paving different parts of the town. I'm wondering, is it that difficult to go to that area, shave it, and repave a short bit of that so people coming into our town would realize that that shouldn't be happening?
Okay, thank you. So I'll start with the first half of and then Andrea can finish up. So my understanding is that when the company completed the work there in, I'll say 8 years ago, I think you're right, 6 to 8 years ago, they did not remove a significant piece of concrete that was in there, suggesting that it wouldn't be an issue, and it has been since then. probably a year and a half afterwards. I'm not sure what the purpose of the concrete was at the time, but it was identified. They assured us it wouldn't be an issue, but you're right, there's a lip because it seems to, I don't know if it goes under, if the granular then goes down underneath the concrete for a hole or something, but it keeps dipping, so. Andrew?
Yep, that's correct. And from what I've been told, that it was in the winter when I first kind of heard about it or noticed it, it was heaving in the winter, and my understanding was that it would kind of go back to normal, but it hasn't, and the bump is still there. So at this point, we have to do more than a shave and pave likely to get that concrete removed, because it's still going to cause an issue.
Okay, so right directly across the road at the second gate to the fairgrounds, that was all repaved there. So I'm wondering why it couldn't have been done on the other side of the road.
Sorry, do you mean recently? Or
No,
just
it's been a couple of years ago that
Okay.
they repaved that.
Okay, I'm not exactly sure what happened there and if they had that same issue with the concrete, but I can look into it.
My issue is, if that happened 7 or 8 years ago, why is it still happening today? There's no rhyme or reason for that. Other than people coming into town have to hit that bump every time, every person that comes in there. It's not the end of the world, but it is pretty annoying when you're driving it a few times a day. And it's been there for a long time. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Green.
I'm Mike Coolis. I live on Fordington Street. Been there for 47 years. I have a sidewalk on both sides of my street that never get plowed in the winter, and that's fine. My question is, why do the sidewalks in Hunter's Gate get plowed every winter with no school anywhere nearby?
Ms. Bishop?
Yeah, so as far as I know, that was just added to our sidewalk route, and I'm not exactly sure why. The rest of the town has been, I believe, plowed the same way for a long time, and I think we're still trying to figure out with new developments where the priorities lie, and if those new sidewalks do get plowed or not. I believe when the development is still in the works and not fully adopted by the town, that the developer has to hire somebody to clear the streets and clear the sidewalks on their own. So I think there's a little bit of confusion on where that transfer is and if the town does adopt that or not.
So currently, the town is doing it, though, at taxpayers' expense. Okay, that kind of answers it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hey everybody, Scott Featherston. I live on Bar Street. I just have a quick question, and I want to also, before I start, give a shout out to the road maintenance crews in town, because every time we've ever made any comment or request, they've actually come out within a few hours to fix our stuff, like potholes or end of my driveway, so I'm really appreciative of that. But question I have, when it comes to the assessment of the quality of the roads, is this more of a subjective thing based on just like, okay, looking at the roads and maybe just driving on it, or is there like some sort of data behind it with like accelerometers and like how bumpy the car is, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so it has been subjective in the past. So that's why we are proposing that street scan or similar data collection method, so that it's not subjective and that it evaluates as it's driving. So there's a vehicle system where they actually can measure all those things, as well as a scooter on the sidewalks to see all of the defects in the sidewalk and the road. So in the past it has been, and that's why I kind of mentioned that some of those road conditions may not be completely up to date, or may be different. You may think it's a fair, someone else may think it's good. So that's kind of the struggle we're running into, and basing decisions off of that is difficult. So I'm hoping that we can get some less subjective data moving
Yeah,
forward.
I think having the objective data is good because like you see a lot in like the Facebook groups online where you have arguments of saying, oh, my street's worse, I should do mine first. I mean, Bar Street, like I have all the school buses going down it, it makes my whole house shake because of all the bumps, and like I can be really like do my street first, but I know that driving around a lot of town, it's also pretty bumpy. So I don't know, like I can't say like you have to do mine first, but so it'd be nice to have some actual data
Yep.
to show and really show like, okay, this is where the budget's going because
Yep,
you only
for
have
sure.
so much. But that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the first actual map that was produced 6 years ago were 3 members of council driving around in the car and rating it 1, 2, and 3 and handing it to staff and asking them to update it and color it. So that's how it first started. So it was you're right, it was very subjective. I was in the passenger seat taking notes as the 3 of us sort of said, oh, I don't like these for these reasons, and see where water's eroding on the corner, do we need gutters? And so that's how it started, and then turned our data over to staff, and then they maintained the map. So I don't believe they really went outside of the core after that, because there was some pretty significant issues in Argyle and Lisgar and Plant, as well as Raglan. So are there any other questions from the public? Okay, Councillor Legree, sorry, Mr.
Through you, Reeve. First of all, I just want to thank everybody for coming out today. Hopefully we got some answers to some of your questions. I just want to touch on a few things. So I agree with the main street and the sidewalk where I have arthritis, and when I'm walking on it I find it tough, and they put orange stripes on it, but some of them orange, the paint's been there for quite some time. So we as council need to look at that to see make sure we have money and budgets and stuff ongoing that we can repair these right away, because I agree, it's a concern. So also with the sidewalk plowing too, that's something I think we need to look at, because the town's growing, things have changed and stuff like that. So I agree that some sidewalks are not being plowed and should be, and some are being plowed and maybe shouldn't be, or maybe both sides don't need to be. So that whole program, we need to take that back and take a look at that again. So and yeah, with the roads, like street scan, so that's you've put that in the 2026 budget, and that'll be part of the software that kind of helps us understand. Okay, perfect. No, I just want to touch on a few things and thank everybody for coming out, so thanks.
Councillor McDonald, please.
Thank you, Reeve, through you. Towards the director, with regard to the orange paint, not to beat that, but do we not have a grinder? Do we not have the equipment to do? So we do have the equipment, we just haven't done anything with regard to?
We do have the equipment, but we don't really have that many extra staff to be just on a sidewalk crew grinding all the time, and there are unfortunately a lot of poor sidewalks in town, so a lot of orange spots to grind, but we can prioritize that more.
And I was thinking primarily with regard to downtown here, in terms of that area. They spent millions of dollars, I think, Reeve, at the time, right? And it's color-coded orange. So if that, I don't know if that can be, I know there's lots of issues throughout town. Another question, Reeve? Thank you. To the director, with regard to slide 15 in road priorities, we've got Hall Street, Harry, Monroe. We talk about you mentioned a 5-year to a 10-year cycle we're looking at. In terms of the sequencing and timelines, are you able to elaborate a bit more on that? So again, that's slide 15.
So our top priority currently is Monroe Avenue East, finishing that from about the ravine just before Central School right to the end. It's in very poor condition. There's barely any road base asphalt there at all anymore. So that is our top priority. The next priority would be Hall Avenue. And I guess that being said, Harry Street, the original project was Monroe and Harry, and that is just the first section up to the first corner of Harry. And then our next section includes Harry and Joe. So that's adding on that local road with the collector. But the intent is for over the next few years to get that Harry Street design each section done and ahead so that we are ready to continue. And the long-term plan is to have that connection between Monroe, Harry, and Hall, so that all three of those roads are in good condition and that those are a nice bypass instead of using our main street. And Opeonga Road is, I would say Monroe would be first, Hall, then Harry, then Opeongo, but not for the full of Harry, if that's not confusing.
I got most of it.
Okay.
So, Reeve,
Yes.
to follow up on it, thank you. So I believe Argyle Street was close to 6 million. Am I correct on that?
Argyle itself?
Yeah, with the sidewalks and the, around 4 to 6 million maybe?
Okay, yeah, the
Multiple
total
millions?
project was about 11, so probably.
Okay. So we have these itemization, and maybe this is a question directed towards the CAO. In terms of our financial commitments with regard to the town and everything else, where is the money going to come from for the priorities we have here? It's nice that we can itemize this list, but where do you see, in terms of our financial commitments and liabilities right now, where do you see the funding coming from for that? So that's my first question.
Please.
So through you, Reeve, the funding sources that we look at for infrastructure project typically start with the two consistent infrastructure funding that we do receive. So the OCIF, the Ontario Community Improvement Fund, I think is what it's called. From the province, we get a certain amount of that every year. I believe last year was about 2 million. And then we also receive what's called the Canada Community Building Fund, which is what the old federal gas tax money was called. So we do get those funds, which are specific to infrastructure type projects. So those would be your first two funding source options. You get some of that every year. The next is we always look to see what other grants are available in the years that are coming up and identify ones that would be a strong candidate for other grant funding sources. We look to see what we do have in our reserves at that time and what's been set aside for some of these projects. And then from there, it's then looking at what can we actually accommodate through debt, or what is council willing to potentially give on one side in order to get for another.
Thank you for that.
Supplementary? Oh, you're done? Okay, thank you. Councillor McWhirter?
Through you, Reeve. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't we have a reserve strictly for sidewalk replacement repair? This is my first question. And if so, maybe well, we did in the past, that's why I'm asking about. It used to be a contentious thing with Mr. Aslan, when he was director, what he actually did with that money and whether it was going in the sidewalks, because I always question whether the sidewalks were being repaired quick enough. So maybe that needs to be bumped up for our budget. My second question is, Hall Street, is that like total infrastructure underneath that needs to be replaced, or is it just shave and pave?
Yep, Hall is a full reconstruction.
So that's a fair chunk of highway, so that'd be fairly costly. Has it been designed?
Yes.
Okay.
Pam White, that's something for us to be talking about in about 3 weeks when we start talking to getting ready for Roma, is to be able to walk into a meeting with MTO or to the environment folks or to housing to talk about, because there's a bunch of provincial housing money to build homes faster, or whatever the new term is. But Hall Street's a prime example of saying, look, we need this to get ready. So there may be some funding opportunities with it. You're completed? Okay, thank you. Councillor Cebulski? No? Okay. Councillor McDonald?
Thank you. Reeve, through you to the director. We talked about snow removal. With regard to the road plows, I'm just wondering with the conditions of that, and with regard to the sidewalk plows, how are we with regard to the conditions of that equipment?
We have 2 sidewalk plows that we use. and a half-ton truck that plows the multi-use path that are in fairly good condition. We did have one plow truck that was just recently sandblasted and repaired in order to extend the life, and a few that are in the upcoming years slated for replacement.
Thank you. And Reeve, through you, and I guess to the CAO, because you'd be aware of it. So we have itemized the road priorities with Hull, Harry, Monroe, and Opeongo, but we don't have a committed financial plan with regard to that right now. Is that correct?
So through you, Reeve, the financial plan has not been fully established for all of them. They are roughly discussed in the asset management plan. That is part of the asset management plan, that where you identify what funding sources that you do need, which is partly why we had identified that transfers into reserves will need to increase over the next little while to accommodate these oncoming projects that are coming towards us, to avoid having to raise taxes a whole lot in one year and then drop them back down and back and forth. You try to transfer it to spread those projects out. We do know that we will be shy on it, as was mentioned when we presented the asset management plan, and any further discussions as to how to proceed forward has not yet been established.
Just for general information, the PCI, the Pavement Condition Index, a lot of municipalities were at 70, and they've dropped it down to 60. They feel that's acceptable because it has allowed them to spread out some of the construction in an extra 10 years. And that's why, one of the things we asked about was also with the crack sealing and micro surfacing as well. That combination of your PCI plus some general maintenance will extend out your asset management plan, and so you may get to the 20 years and you may get to the 45 years before you have to do a major reconstruction. So there is some strategies that can be undertaken at the same time, and Director Bishop has noted those. Okay, is there any other questions? All right, well, thank you very much, everyone. We really appreciate your time. And if you want, there's the there's the posters and pictures out on the wall you can take a look at. We'll hang around if you want to have an informal conversation. So we really appreciate your interest and your time this evening and your questions. We'll attempt to get a better series of answers for you. And so with that, we'll adjourn. I'm sorry.
Sorry, a reminder for anyone who comes up with questions until, I believe it was the 17th. We are accepting them electronically through the email of the clerk. So carrot@renfrew.ca, and all of those questions, comments, and concerns will be compiled with the ones received today through the 2 sessions and added to our post agenda.
Thank you. And Council, if you could let the clerk know if you're available for the November 12th meeting. We understand hunting season and holiday season and season, so let us know so that we have enough bodies to run the business. All right, thank you. With that, we'll adjourn at 6:09. Thank you.